Hello everyone, welcome to the next episode of The Execution Show. And I'm super excited to have you here, and as excited I am to have Mr. Tapojoy Chatterjee here. I'm super thrilled, sir, for today's session. So let me quickly begin with an introduction about sir. So what he's done, he's been in the field of product management for about 12 to 13 years now, and some key noticeable things that he's launched that many of us use on a day-to-day basis is one, Amazon ads in India, B, Amazon Mini TV, and C, currently he manages Swiggy's food and Dineout services or Dineout product in India. So that is what he's managed, something that we've used or we've been using endlessly, and not just us, millions like us have been using endlessly across. And so we are extremely honored to have you here and to learn from you in today's session.
Thank you, Anurag, for those kind words, and thank you for having me here. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
So thank you so much, sir. Thank you for taking out time. So guys, with every execution show episode, we take out one topic and we go in great detail trying to decode, understand what exactly it is, how do you go about it, and try to make it very, very actionable, very something that you can act upon. And today we want to learn and talk more about how do you become a product manager, and if you are already a product manager, how do you excel at it, how do you start managing bigger products or start making better products actually. So that is the conversation that we'll have today, and I'm very excited for all that is in store today. And a large number of who will be seeing this will be people who are wanting to start their product management career, or are looking to switch into it, or are have just entered into it last 1 or 2 or 3 years and are looking to grow into it. So before we go forward, for people who are coming from for people who do not understand or who are new to the term, what exactly is product management and what all does it include?
You know, for the first 6 years of my career, I didn't know what product management is.
Okay.
I had no idea.
Despite being one.
No, I joined, it happened around in 2014
Okay.
is when the journey really started. So I think if you look back at the history of product management, the first set of product managers happened around in 1919-20 when FMCG companies in the world like Unilever or P&G wanted to figure out how to build the right product, how to brand the product. What is a brand? If I'm selling this soap, what does it mean? So the genesis came is somebody has to design the content of the soap. How much sodium, how much hydro. Then that is where your first set of product managers came in, because that was getting sold. The role of a product manager then was a lot more about how do I market this product? Why will people buy this soap? How do I talk about this soap? How do I promote this soap? It went on. The role of product and brand managers used to use the word interchangeably. For example, if you look at FMCGs, Unilever will call some of the role as brand manager, but Johnson's would come and say some of the role as product manager. It was used very loosely together. Okay. Since somewhere around in 1990s, when HP came in, Dell came in, the role of a product manager became of building those actual computers. In terms of, hey, if I'm building this model of a computer, compact computer or a Dell computer, how much RAM should it have? How much processing power should it have? What should be the color of the computer? White, black, grey? And that became the role of product manager, building that product which is getting sold. What we now call as product management is what is the product management? Consumer internet world, which is populated by or popular through Google or Amazon or Stripe or Metas of the world. If somebody asks me, I will say the first product manager in the consumer internet world was Marissa Mayer. And it came in Google, where Google had software developers. She was one of the earliest software developers, but she had the inclination of trying to figure out what the business side wants, what the consumer wants. So she would put a lot of those effort in defining, okay, we are building it, but how will the consumer type it? What kind of results will give it to them? So she was the one who actually kickstarted the theme that you need a role which is not developing, but kind of trying to marry all the things. And generally it has now evolved into marrying three things. in this world. What is the consumer want? Why will he or she tap it, click it? How will she experience the product? So that's the consumer angle. Defining the consumer need and what is needed to solve it. Second is, what is the technology capable of delivering? For example, I want to build a rocket to moon, but can I build it or not? So that technology, what is possible today? Say 10 years ago, if somebody said, I want to build a software in 5 days and build a new app, people are saying, no, that's not going to happen. Today, yes, with AI it is possible. So the ability to know that what is possible today with technology and what can happen in a few years' time is the second big circle in my mind. Third big circle is, as an organization, will I make money from this? That is the business aspect of this. Consumer has a need. I can build technology. Will consumers pay for it? Will somebody else pay for this service that I can sustain this? So think of it like these three circles: consumer need, technology need, business viability, and product manager's role is to find where that intersection is happening and ensure that only focus the organization in those projects which is meeting all the three curves. So that's generally the role of product manager. Now the fun fact is, it is still very loose. That means I have to, as a product manager, do everything. You need to know technology, you need to do engineering, you need to do consumer design, you need to do business. The reality is that is the truth. If you want to be a good product manager, you need to be literally be able to be good enough in all these three aspects that you can make decisions on these three aspects. You may not be the most skilled salesperson to sell it to somebody else, but you need to be good with what can be sold and how it can be sold and what can't be sold. You need not be the engineer who knows how to exactly code, but you need to be good enough to know what we can code and how long it will take to code and what is the right design or structure to code. That's generally a role of a product manager. And for example, now if we took real world scenarios, let's take my company in Swiggy. What is my role? Say if you, let's take dining as an example, and one of my teams is what they do is they handle Dineout. The role of the product manager is, you open the app. When you open the app, you see an experience where it says search here, tap here, this is the restaurant, this is all that experience is to be designed by the product manager. What will I show you? Do I make and say I am going to just give you like a Google single search bar and you do it, or do I actually give you a full experience of restaurants, choices between restaurants, different navigation flows? It's the product manager's role. What is the color, theme and how it looks? It's a product manager's role. What will, if I tap on something, how will it behave? Product manager's role. What is the algorithm behind how it will show up? Product manager will have an oversight of this is how it is to be done and work with the data scientist to make it happen. But final neck on the line is the product manager in terms of how he or she will build it. Say you want to reserve a table, the underlying system of how reservations will show to a restaurant. 8 p.m. Anurag is coming, 9 p.m. Tapojoy is coming. That whole experience of the restaurant is a product manager's role of how it will come up. You have to pay restaurants. How will the payment come to the restaurant? That's again a product manager's role. So the end-to-end technology, end-to-end experience which all the stakeholders are experiencing, consumer, restaurant, in case of food delivery operator, all of that is defined by the product manager, as well as the underlying engine of how each of them can talk to each other, interact with each other, is what a role of a product manager. So I think in a nutshell, this is what the product manager's role in a consumer internet space is.
Wow. That's a very broad role, and trying to know so many aspects of a business typically takes a lot of training, a lot of so coming back to the obvious next question, let's break it down. You said three things: the consumer side of things, you said the technology side of things, and the business side of things. How do you go about training yourself one by one in these skills? And obviously there are spin-offs. For example, you'll need to know data science, you'll need to know your sales team, your organization, your structure, all those things. But how does one equip themselves to know in detail about all these? And also, if I ask you to put these three in order, is there a way to put it?
I think the way I will look at it is, when you are in your early stages of your career, in your first 3 years, let's put it this way, you have to be extremely good in your consumer understanding in terms of what the experience exact will be, and you have to be good in your technology understanding in terms of can you talk to your engineers. Business understanding is good, but generally whether something is business viable or not as a decision gets taken by somebody who's 8 to 9 years in the system. So you have time to build that. So if you are talking about building muscles, I would always say build your consumer understanding muscle and your technology understanding muscle. Technology understanding muscle, to be honest, is relatively straightforward, not easy, straightforward, because it's a question of reading certain books and getting trained in certain courses. For example, you should get trained on system design concepts. How do you design an architecture of a software? You should get trained on how software actually gets built, the software development life cycle. Once you do it, you'll be fine. Consumer need understanding is a little bit of self-training and practice. If you ask, I have seen one of the greatest consumer need, people who understand consumer need well are the ones who observe the most in life. Like they will literally sit and observe how your fingers are moving, how your head is moving, how you are talking, are you anxious, are you fidgeting with your feet? Because once you start observing small things, you start observing how consumers will react to something, and that is what a consumer need is. And I'll give you an understanding. I'll give an example and help you. In Amazon, when you open up an app, or say you want to buy a phone, you open up the page of a phone on Amazon. As you scroll, you will see consumers also searched for similar other phones. You will see that option, right? Other phones also available. And you will go, you will research and you will buy it. When you go to a food restaurant, do you see consumers also say you want to buy and we're talking about misal pav today. You want to order a misal pav. But do you see options, other restaurants who are also offering misal pav? Why do you think that is? Why is that one product which is in Amazon e-commerce is doing it and it is very successful for them, it gives them millions of dollars, others is not doing it? I think the answer lies in when you're ordering food, what your state of emotion is of hunger. When you're hungry, you want the food quickly. You are not in a mood to research. So if you give a consumer to research when they're ordering food, they'll actually get frustrated. They say, what the hell? I don't want this. I want this and I want to eat and get full. I don't want to waste another 5 minutes trying to find a better missile. I trust this missile. That's why I'm here. On regular product, you're not in a hurry to order. You want to explore, you want to research, you want to try, then you want to do it. That is the difference. That is a good product manager will understand the emotion when somebody is using the product. And that is your role. It comes from intuition, it comes from a lot of observation and building that muscle of observation. Some people have it.
How does one?
Yeah, some people come at, well, how have I, let me take my example. How have I done it? I think luckily I have been generally very curious in life. Like it's just my habit. As a child, my parents used to get pissed off because I used to keep asking everything, every question possible. Like I remember a story when we were going on a school trip in Punjab to Chandigarh, and there was a friend of mine sitting next to me, and I used to ask her, where does this road go? Ye rasta kahan hai? At one fine point, pardon my Hindi, she said, मुझे नहीं पता हर रास्ता कहाँ जाता है, तुम मुझसे इतना सवाल क्यों पूछ रहे हो? But that was me. Like I had a lot of curiosity. I think you have to inculcate that curiosity and have a belief that curiosity is good in the role of product management. Curiosity which will take you far. That's number one. Second, there are some books on what is called as design thinking. And you should read some of those if you are an enthusiast in the world of product management, because they will give you some concepts of how to observe. It will tell you, okay, for example, there is a concept on design thinking called affordance. Affordance means if I make, say for example, you have an app. In an app, you write something as name of students, Tapojoy, Chatterjee, Anurag, one by one. No color, just simple name. In the second, you also put a underline against the name, under each name, and make it a color blue or something. Which one do you subconsciously think is clickable?
The one with blue.
Correct? That is affordance. So you are using people's historical training to train about your app. You will probably not even tap and understand Tapojoy is clickable. So these books will teach you these basics, some of these concepts of design, which are nothing but how people have trained over a period of time. And then you can start leveraging them and understanding them and building that in your product, which makes it easy for you to do it. And I'll tell you one of the most frustrating designs I have ever felt in my life. You would have gone to many hotels. Which side is hot and which side is cold? When you want to shower and think which side should be.
I think right side is cold, right side is hot.
Right side is generally supposed to be hot. I can tell you 30% of restaurants or hotels do it the other way around.
Why?
I don't know. So that's a bad product creation, where you've not leveraged the consumer's understanding. You will find it. You will suddenly find that you did it. Oh my God, cold water is coming. It is a mess around the world which happens, and it should not happen. So you'll find all these cases where the person who created this product did not think enough of what is that consumer's understanding. So there are these books. I would suggest please read these books.
Which ones?
There is Design of Everyday Things. A lot of people consider Design of Everyday Things as a holy grail of design. So please just read it. Like I have learned my design thinking from that book. It's an absolutely masterclass. It's a slightly fattish book, but do give it a chance. It will really help you. I think then after you've done this training, the third part is, if you want to delve a little bit deeper in understandings of concepts of behavioral psychology, of how emotions make people react. It will be third stage, not the first stage. You should do the first two first, of curiosity, observation, and then book of everyday design. Then you should move into behavioral psychology if you get a chance, and if you are interested in it. If you are able to do these three things, I am fairly sure you will be doing 80-90% of the work. Even after doing all these three things, remember, getting the granularity is a lot about grunt work. It is attention to detail.
And actually doing it. Like
you'll have to literally look at the screen and start thinking, if I put this color here, how will people think about it? People think, like one pattern you will notice, and now it seems obvious to the world. When we started websites in the laptop world, remember, search bar used to be at top. Why was search bar at the top? Because if you notice your scroll starts at the top and then you scroll and go down. So your first part is search. When apps came in the world today, they started with search at the top. That's the default. But how do you hold a phone? You hold a phone like this. You want to go to a search, it's so easy to do it on the bottom and tap it and go.
Versus going upstairs.
Now the world is realizing, and now you're realizing, a lot of companies realizing that the search icon probably is better being downstairs. It is still not fully happening, but you will see these changes happen. It's nothing but detail, that exactly how is somebody moving the thumb, how is somebody moving the finger, and that level of detail is what is going to give you good consumer need understanding. So yeah, that's a very long answer of your...
that is what was needed. I think that gives a good understanding of the consumer side. Now on the technology side, how does one approach that?
I think first and foremost, there are a lot of these courses. There are books if you want to read. There are online courses if you want to read. Do read about the fundamentals of system design.
Okay.
For example, how those two computers talk to each other. What you're opening here, for example, I am opening up an app on Swiggy. From this mobile, it has gone to some place where it is decrypted as swiggy.com is equal to this IP address 192 dot something. That's some service is doing that, called a DNS service. Once the DNS service finds, it goes to some place, some computer. Could be an Amazon AWS computer, could be Google Cloud computer, could be Microsoft computer, which is going to read that signal. Then it will say, okay, the signal has come from Anurag. So Anurag wants this. What do I show? Maybe that computer is so busy today that millions of people are accessing. It says, I can't handle Anurag right now. It will ask another computer, can you handle Anurag request right now? I can't do it, it's too much. So there's a load balancing happening. Once the load balancing has happened, Anurag has asked for some information. Okay, you gave this information to Anurag, but how do I store the information? Remember, in computers we have RAM and we have hard disks. If you remember, RAM is costly, but RAM is super fast. Should I respond to Anurag quickly in the next 60 milliseconds? Or it's okay, Anurag can wait for 2 minutes and I give a response back to him. So you take a choice where you store, that depends on your cost equation. So all these elements of how that software will be created and how each service will react is what is system design. And somebody should really go through the details of system design through any of these courses or books that you are familiar with, and do that. That's number one. Second, I think just understand the process of software development. See, software development has gone through multiple changes. Historically, there used to be something called as waterfall model. You tell me what to build, then I'll slowly build it. Now the industry talks about agile, where the product and the engineers sit together and brainstorm and build quickly and test and do it. So understanding these models and process models is something which will help a product manager also a good esteem. So that's the best way to do it. Obviously, if you are learning about software development in your graduation, obviously it's good, it's great. If you ask me, 50 to 60% of product managers today are ex-software developers. They had either done software development in their colleges or graduations, or they were software developers in their first few years of their life because it makes it easy. However, there is another 30-40% who are not software developers and they have done it the hard way. They have learned through this. Like in my team, I have hired people who are chemical engineers, but now that person is doing extremely well. He is literally the head of product for Mini TV now. So you'll find success in multiple paths, but either of the way you have to put that hard work of learning the concepts of software development. Once you do that, then you'll find it much easier to succeed in these roles.
Got it. So I think that, but how compulsory is software development? Like you said, remaining 30-40% have done on their own. So what does doing on their own mean? Have they learned complete languages and all those things?
No, I think what they need to learn is one, system design.
Yeah,
second is the concepts of algorithms. There are these different algorithms is nothing but maths.
Yeah.
Right? How you do sorting, how you do bubble sorting, how you do so understanding algorithms, because you're not going to code.
Yeah, so that is not needed.
But what you need to understand is how you're going to talk to engineer. Like, hey, I want to build a search. How should my search behave? Should I linearly search for all names one by one? Or should I figure out some kind of a logic which is going to go in the middle or fuzzily test it? So just having that ability to talk to software engineers, what is required. So system design, algorithms, and the last one is process in terms of how you should build those softwares.
Sure.
If you're able to get hold of these three, you will be in good stream.
Sure. So you spoke about consumers and technology. Now how about business side? I get that it takes time, but let's say someone who's been already into the field for 3, 4, 5 years and now would want to start working more on the business side of things. How do they train themselves better?
I think I have been a little bit lucky because I spent 4 years as a sales and a brand manager in my career. So that gave me a huge exposure to business of how it works. However, I think I have couple of areas where I have seen product managers get business senses. One, look at the past of how and where money is getting made in your own company. So you're working in a company which has done something good and worked for them. So figure out the money flow. Where are people actually paying money? Get a good understanding of the cash flow and the systems. So sit with your finance partner, whoever is there, and just get a sense of who pays, how much do they pay, on how many days do we get that money. If we don't make that money, how much goes in, where does it get stuck? So understand the whole funnel of the money coming and where it is getting spent. A lot of your product sometimes is just about optimizing that funnel. For example, if you are doing a financial product, say 3 people are required to send financial reports to a restaurant or an advertiser. If you can build a software which can do it on its own, you are reducing the cost of 3 people. That's automatically a business case you are building. Say you want to build a new software for a consumer. You should always ask yourself a question is, historically in the industry, how have consumers paid for this service? I think the way I look at it is, consumers either pay for a service from their own pocket, or they pay for you by either giving their data or giving their time. Either of the three has to happen. If your product is not able to achieve any of these three, you will struggle. If you are able to not get the first, but able to get a second and the third, the volume of data and the volume of time that they are spending has to be significantly large. What I mean by large is, for example, if it is time, which means that an average consumer can be spending at least 15-20 minutes a day in your app for you to really make something out of it. So start answering or asking those hard questions to yourself and answer them. Is it happening? If your answer is no, then you are not creating a good business viable product. You're creating a product which consumers need, but they may not pay money. Now you may ask, hey, how is WhatsApp doing? You're not paying money for it. But you have to understand, WhatsApp is getting extreme amount of data. It is getting millions of users today using its tool, which it can monetize. So it is taking the data. It was also taking the time aspect of the equation. It may not be taking the first part of the equation. So always, one, as a process, sit with the finance team. Second, get a good sense of your money flow, where you get money, where you spend money. Third, ask yourself these three questions of how will the consumer actually pay you. Look at surrogates. In the world today, is what I've seen, all businesses that have been successful, they're basically taking consumers paying with either of these three in somewhere else and migrating to somewhere else. So figure out what that is. Last, try and read a little bit of annual reports, and you'll get a sense of how the money flow and what is working and what is not working. I think if you're able to kind of click these 3 to 4 aspects, you will do well. As if your company is large and you want to solve it for, say, millions of customers, add a fourth aspect of understanding how to build scale. I think a lot of times people build products and forget how to build scale. Scale means you don't need humans. If you are, say for example, if your number of consumers increase from 1 million to 10 million, doesn't mean you need to increase the number of people 10 times. If your product is needing you to increase the number of people 10 times, then there is somewhere wrong. You're not building a scaled solution. So for any product which is large, if you want to make it large, ensure that number of people required to run the product is not in the same ratio as the number of consumers that is growing. If your equation is good, not happening, then you are in a good space. If your equation is kind of almost becoming like a same curve, then you're not building a good financially viable product. So these are the 4 or 5 areas which somebody can build their financial wherewithal in this space.
You're telling about solving for scale for any product manager. Maybe a little bit more on what exactly do you mean by scale, and is it required by everyone who's wanting to be a product manager?
I think the way I look at it is, I'll break it into 2 questions. Question number 1 is, when should a product manager start even thinking about scale? And 2, if you are thinking about scale, what are the elements that you should start thinking about? See, one of the biggest dilemma of the work of product manager is defining where should I put my energy. See, everybody has limited resource. You will have 5 engineers, 10 engineers, whatever you may have, and you need to build something out of it. Now you can't say I'm going to build the perfect product right from day one. It's never going to happen, because by the time you build it, it will be late. Like, I'll give you 2 examples. In US, there was a company which came as Quibi. If you ever do a little bit, if you get a chance to do research, Quibi was done by 2 very large leaders. Like, I think one of them was a Hollywood content producer, one of them came from the world of technology, and they built something. They had some great ideas that I want to build a mobile first OTT service which will have 10-minute content, 15 with large stars like Liam Hemsworth and Christopher Waltz and stuff. They built it, but it took a lot of time. They took almost 18-20 months to build something, and they said I was going to build it the first time. They built, consumers hated it. There's no interaction. They built so much of stuff like, hey, if you put the phone like this, If you switch it to horizontal, automatically it will flip into a different screen. They built a lot of technology. Because consumers didn't care. Consumers just didn't want that. They were happy with the existing OTTs that they have, which was giving them, say, your Netflixes and Disneys of the world, just giving them 30-minute to 2 hour content. And you had your TikToks and Instagram Reels, which was giving them their 30-second content or whatever you call it. They didn't want this thing in between. Now, if that organization had done that research beforehand or even brought something quick and dirty in the first, like I don't need an app, maybe I would have just launched some 10-minute shows on Instagram and see how is it getting the reaction. I might have seen my success. Vis-a-vis, if you look at some of our homegrown example like a Physics Wala. Physics Wala is now a big company. But how did it start? It started as a YouTube or a Facebook watch channel. People were just watching. He didn't go and build a new app in the day one. He said, I have this hypothesis, people want good educational content, let me start from there. That had all the $1 billion behind them, this has nothing behind them. Yet this is successful, that is done, it is sold at a very liquidation price. So I think one of the most important things for any product manager is first figuring out your hypothesis. I have a hypothesis, if I do this, consumers will pay for it, simple. Figure out the dirtiest, fastest way of getting it proven. Don't waste any time on it. In our world, when we launched Amazon ads, now advertisers need a bill. Also, advertisers give you some money where you will say, today I want to spend 9,000 rupees or 90,000 depending upon the advertiser. So, once I reach 9,000, don't spend more. You know what we did? We didn't build any technology. We hired a person, his name was Yazad, and he used to be so unhappy. Yazad's job was every day sit and just see who is spending how much of money, and the moment the budget is reached at every 15 minutes, pause their campaign. So Yazad was at a company like Amazon, Yazad was the unhappy person whose job was given, please go ahead and keep every 15 minutes check everybody's budget and pause the campaign. That is what it is. You want to check whether advertisers in India do actually find this more valuable than a Google and a Facebook of the world, and are they going to spend enough money? And we did that. There was absolute manual work, no scale. This is not scale, this is very poor scale, because Yazad can only track X number of advertisers. Yazad can't go and suddenly start tracking hundreds and thousands of advertisers. So that was the world. We used to take Yazad out every Friday to make him happy, to keep him satisfied, so that he doesn't go. And he has a very successful career now. He's moved to Canada. So yeah, that was the role, and he was doing it. When we got success, when we had advertisers coming in month after month, when we started realizing, it's going to get 100, then we built an automated solution which is going to do that job for us. So I think in my mind, your stage one of any product is, let's first prove the hypothesis. If you have proven the hypothesis, then you build the next layer, which is important for a consumer to understand or like your product. Let me now give an example. When did Uber come in India? Around 2013, 14? 13, actually even earlier, 12ish, 13 came. And people who started using Uber would be very small subset. These are generally people who are very technology evangelists, like to try something first. These people now are generally more forgiving, even if there are issues in the product, chota mota, because they want to feel proud of trying something new. There's an emotion. We call them early adopters, and early adopters are more forgiving and like to be known as the first trials. So prove your hypothesis with those early adopters.
Yeah, because they'll try.
They will try it. They will forgive you for all these chota little bit issues that you will keep up. But once you've proven, now you're taking it to a slightly massier audience, which is say Tapojoy, Chatterjee. I started using Uber in 2014 and 15 when Uber was becoming much more successful. And these people do not like issues in the app. Payment block is not something they want. They want seamless payment. They want the app to be not friction free. They don't want a situation where the app is taking a little bit time to open up. And so in your second stage, solve for those problems which a regular mass consumer might find it irritating to use. These are generally UX problems in what I've seen in history. UX problem, reducing the number of taps, reducing the number of clicks, making information available easy, making something fast and speed. So that becomes the second stage of product, because you are trying to build for mass. Third stage of products is when you start building in parallel scale. Because you build for mass, then mass will start coming. You'll get your millions and millions of users coming in the system. And then you parallelly build for scale, is when those millions of users start coming, how is my system going to remain stable? And that is where the scale kicks in. So at least in my learning, generally scale is that 2.5 or third stage is when you really start investing. Obviously, it's not like sequential. There is a little bit of fungibility here and there. You don't want a system to start breaking. Yeah. But it's in that 2.5 and the third stage is when you start in focusing on scale. So that was the answer to your first question, is when do you focus on scale? It's not the first thing to solve. It's not the second thing to solve. Mostly it's the 2.5 or third thing to solve. Now, how do you understand what to scale? See, what are the scale impediments in today's world? Earlier, 15 years ago, number of computers was a problem in scale. If I suddenly get 15 million users, I don't have enough computers to respond to it. But today with AWS, Lambda and solutions, that is less of a problem. It's a tap of a button. You just open up more and more cloud computers and that scale happens. You still need engineers to monitor, track and handle the real. Bulk of the scaling challenges today come is where human activity is required. Yeah. Human activity could be bill generation, human activity could be payment management, human activity could be stamping some reports for somebody. Human activity in food delivery historically could be assignment of which restaurant to go where. So anywhere a human activity is required to do something, you need to start reducing that, because humans are error prone, humans are slow. As a product manager, what I have seen work is list down everywhere a human is required to do an activity, and then say where is the maximum number of humans required, and start kind of attacking that problem one by one. In our case, it was Izad, and we started to reduce his problem, but sure, you will find whose problem it is. And so that in my mind is generally where the scale activities or scale focuses comes. And when we say human activity, I can also tell you a very different example of a scale. For example, when you go digital advertising, you will find these segments that advertisers create, right? Consumer who love chocolates, consumer who love to want to order diapers because they have baby at home. Now, in the beginning, e-commerce companies would build these on their own, correct? Because you want to put your judgment and you build it. But as business expands and so many categories come, you can't build it on your own. For example, Netflix, if you notice in the app, it will show you an option which says Japanese romantic movies as one of the options as the carousel, if you notice. To me, it may show me Turkish action movies, and someday it may show me movies which has Tom Cruise. What they realized is they can't build this manually, that with the way segmentation was done traditionally in the world, manually writing it across the board. So they said, how do we solve it? They tagged everything through system. This movie has Tom Cruise, this movie is Japanese, this movie is action, this movie is... So every movie or every content has this list of multiple N attributes which the system is defining. It is picking up from the cast, crew, genre, whatever it is there. It is looking at your behavior and trying to find your affinity score against N attributes in the system. And then the system trying to optimize it and says, okay, Anurag has high affinity score with these 3 attributes. Now let me find out, are there enough movies which fulfill these 3 attributes? That could be Japanese romantic TV show, as put it this way. And it found, okay, there are 21 movies or TV shows which meet the criteria. So you will see that carousel. So they have taken the problem of tagging and creating segments and automated it. And it is kind of built in a way where you get to see different carousels, I get to see different carousels, and it is completely automated. So there are different levels of scaling. It could be human processes, it could be elements that you are trying to create, but it is fundamentally about reducing the reaction or a effort any human is required to do anywhere in the world. So put an effort in trying to find where human effort is required, and if you're able to reduce it, you will suddenly have scale in front of you.
Got it. I think that was a very detailed answer, and that really helped understand how to think about scale. And that is a mistake I think almost all, not just product managers but also entrepreneurs are guilty of, which is launching the perfect or wanting to launch perfect version of first product, and trying to spending so much time on it that by the time the product hits the market has evolved with what you had thought initially. So, and personally, I'm guilty of that too. But on a and very next thing, and which you answered also by design, about the first phase, which is experimentation. So, how do product managers, or what's the mindset around failures? Because there is n number of experimentation, trying out different things. So, how does failure? What is the role of failure, and how does one as a product manager manage it?
Even the most successful of product manager will probably have only 30 to 35% of the product successful.
That's also too large.
Yeah, it's like really great like successful product manager. So failure is part and parcel of the game. I think one, you need to be very comfortable knowing the fact that you might fail. However, you need to work in a way that you fail fast. I think that's the mistake people make. The earlier you are able to put something out to a consumer, the earlier you are going to get a response, and the earlier you are going to learn whether you are failing. Now, failing fast, if I put it this way, has two layers. Layer number one, how quickly you are able to bring something to market. Layer number two, how clear is your definition of what success means. And actually layer number three, or 2B if you call it, is how do you measure that success. See, for example, you created a new app of English language training that you built. Now you launched it, you built the app, you're also putting some money in marketing, and people are coming to your app and going away. Now if you look at a metric which says daily active users, you might feel a good bump. You're putting money, daily active users go away. So are you successful? I don't know. Now if I tell you, you take away all that money, your daily active users come down to 10%, but 50% of them repeating every week. Is that successful?
Much better.
Much better. Because you now realize that even if I don't spend any money, they're finding the first time content so useful, they're coming again and again. So I think it is extremely critical for any product manager to define what success means in the world, in his or her product world, and have the right tools to measure. Slightly going deeper, success, if you look at generally in a world, is like a pyramid, where at the top is nothing but cash flow. You will have to define your equation of cash flow. For example, when we are launching Mini TV, it's an OTT app, right? In an OTT app, what is the equation? Number of consumers who come to my home page or first page of the app, into number of percentage of people who actually opened up one content, something, into number of people who at least finished 15 minutes, into number of people who came back in a week, which is repeat, into ad revenue that I could make in those 15 minutes. That's the net equation of the model. The first part of the equation is not your problem right now when you're launching an app.
Yeah.
It's a marketing problem, and if it's successful, you can do it. Your problem is when you generate trial, are people spending that 10-15 minutes on your content that you're creating, and are they coming back and finding it useful? So then you really put your energy in that aspect in the beginning to measure that. Because if that is not happening, then you have a problem. Say you launch two versions of the app. One where somebody taps the mobile and you open up the way YouTube shows the content. At the top there is video playing, and bottom there are some other content. Or you try the Netflix style, you play and it flips to horizontal. Now how will you decide which is better for the organization? I think fundamentally you will measure and say, hey, viewing time is what matters the most to me. Which of them is giving me the maximum viewing time per user, whoever is exploring this. And they will start measuring viewing time. That's where the measurement comes in, is In the world, there are two types of measurement: pre-post, A/B. My learning is, wherever you can, it's a strong word, try and do A/B. Because in A/B, whatever else is happening around other than your product is taken care of. It's normalized in some form. But there are enough areas, like if you're building a software as SaaS, or you're trying to build a pricing tool, or you're trying to build something operational, you can't do A/B. Then you figure out other ways, like the time-based analysis, or trying to normalize and see what you. But at least try and get to a zone where you are able to measure against your success and do these three things quickly. If, like, one of the other mistakes I've seen people is, let me get the product out. Great product. Measurements I'll build later. And it happens. You build the product and 45 days later the measurement is coming. For the first 45, you don't even know whether it is working, not working, who is watching, how many errors are happening, you don't have no idea. You just feel good, I've launched something.
The product.
Yeah. So I think in my mind, your measurement has to happen in sync right from day one of your launch, so that you know what is working or not. And get all these three out as quickly and measure as quickly and fail fast. If you fail fast, you will be able to iterate and succeed fast as well.
I think that's really helpful, and that really sets perspective, because product management by definition requires so much experimentation that you're more likely to fail in most things as compared to them working out. How exactly, as a product manager, what are your tools as a product manager to push for product customer centric thinking? And I get this because one of the three core pillars that you mentioned was customers. So what are your tools to talk to the customers, get real time insights? Again, what all do you do to propel that that customer first mindset?
Actually, the company which built the ethos of consumer backward thinking in me was actually ITC, even before Amazon. In India, most of the FMCG companies, ITC, P&G, Unilever, have over the years built a very beautiful and robust consumer backward organization. Like, if you're a sales guy, who's your consumer? Your consumer is a retailer in the system. You'll go meet n number of retailers every day across the different towns in the country, ask them what is working, what is not working, why are you selling this, why is this bottle of soap or shampoo in the counter and why that is inside, how much money are you making. So you literally will interact with the retailer every day to get a sense of what is working for them, and you'll optimize your own processes, your own stuff. Similarly, when you become a brand manager, you will spend a disproportionate amount of time trying to understand a consumer. We'll go and you'll go to their homes literally, and you'll say, how do you live, how do you sleep, where do you keep your toothbrush, how do you watch TV, what content do you like, what do you do, what food your mom cooks, which food, like you literally ask everything and everything possible. So a lot of my consumer backward thinking actually came from working in FMCG and ITC. What Amazon gave me was a lot of structure to it. Like, I didn't know there is consumer backward thinking when I was working in ITC. It was just the way of working. That's what we do. I think when you joined Amazon, we got trained, okay, this is what is consumer backward thinking. This is what you need to do. So I think couple of things which, if you want to be a product manager who's good in consumer backward thinking, one, just meet consumers. There's no shortest way. Every time I've met people, I've learned something. There's not been a single meeting where I've gone to Chennai to meet a consumer about dining, where I've gone to Amritsar to understand how she does food delivery order. I've always learned something. It's fascinating that every time somebody will say something and I'll say, oh wow, I didn't realize this. And it has gone back and we've built products to solve it end to end. For example, if you notice dining as a vertical, it is more visual than your regular e-commerce. Say for example, Amazon, you'll write, okay, I want to buy this, then there will be filters on top. Now filters are there, but in dining we realized is, even if you give filters, people will scroll and pick up the most amazing restaurant image and tap and start from there. So we did a research and we found, okay, it is happening because she's fuzzy in her mind. She's like, take me something beautiful. I want to go to somewhere where I'll enjoy. She's not very clear that I want to go to a rooftop restaurant, or I want to go to a good ambience lounge, or I want to go to a place where there is a lot of good cuisine. She's fuzzy, so she's scrolling. Whichever image draws her attention, she's going and ticking. We learned that, which is very different from a traditional e-commerce saying, do you want to go to rooftop? Choose this filter. Do you want to eat North Indian? Choose this filter. Now that was a surprise for us. So what we did, then we get also, okay, let's make it more visual. Even the navigation becomes visual. Even the type of restaurants you're trying to show, rooftop, must try, they have visual elements to make a choice. So this is just one of the many examples of how this learning. So one, meet consumers. No, I try and ensure every 2 weeks I'm in some city in the country and meeting consumers or restaurant partners, wherever, whichever I'm trying to focus. Second, actually look at your data. Your data always gives you insights. See, one of the things which I've learned, I've realized is, everybody says analyze data. Nobody tells you how to analyze data. Nobody teaches you. Nobody tells you, okay, this is the way you'll find insights. I've learned some of the hard ways, like, hey, look at, in data there is something called as funnel. Everything has a funnel. Consumer will come here, then tap here, then click here, then go there and do this. Somebody will go take a round loop by going to this page, then come. Somebody will take another loop and going to other page. There is different loops. One of the best ways to find insight is list down all the loops and see what the journey is like. If 100 people came here, how many next, how many next, how many next, how many next. Every drop off is a point of insight. Because they are not finding something useful, that's why they dropped off. That's one point of insight. Second point of insight, we have these different dimensions, city, country, zone, language, food and dining, cuisine, restaurant type. In e-commerce, it could be category of the product. Just cut your data on these dimensions and see if there is delta between the two in these funnel metrics. Wherever there is a delta, that's an opportunity for insight. So if you just do these two, like almost think of it like an n cross n matrix, where you have the funnel, one you have these dimensions, and start looking at all the delta where it is happening, you will find 100 insights which can take care of your next 2 years of roadmap which you want to do. So that to me is the second best way of finding insights through data and being consumer centric. Third is asking yourself the question. See, what I've realized is, most products that get built fundamentally meet 5 foundational needs of a consumer. Either you are saving their time, or you are saving their money, or you are saving their effort to do something, physical effort, mental effort to do it, or you are giving them recognition which they like, or you are making them happy, entertainment. I have yet to see a single product which doesn't meet either of these. Every product in the world goes to these 5 foundational needs. Every single product, any product you take, it will mostly be a combination of these, not be singular. It will generally be a combination of these. So what I do and sometimes ask my team, and I have also written, is I write a set of questions. Is which foundational need is your product solving? If you are able to bring it to that level, you have a product which is solving a consumer need. If you are not bringing it to that level, that means you don't have a good clarity of what it is solving. It's just a fuzzy idea. So first thing I always try and do is ladder it to these foundational. It has to map. If it is not mapping, you have a problem at your hand. Number 1. Number 2, question to be asked is, okay, you've mapped it to a need. How do you know that consumer actually has this need?
Yeah, true.
You must have done some research, you must have spoken to 5 people, and how is the consumer solving that need today? See, needs get solved. Every need has been solved forever, ages. Uber came, but taxi was there before, and people were traveling before. It is that it made it easier to get a taxi. So how is that consumer solving that need today? Entertainment was there before YouTube's came in. It was getting solved through other channels. So write that down. If you are struggling to define how is that need getting solved today, and you are struggling to define that need is not getting solved because of money, cost or whatever, then you still haven't done a good job of your research. I don't know if you are actually having the right need identified in the system. So that becomes the second layer of the question. Third layer of the question is, how are you significantly better than what is the existing solution in the market? This is where Kunal Shah from Cred says it beautifully, that any new solution should at least be 4 times better than the existing solution in the industry. If your product is not 4 times better, and 4 times is a loosely used term, we can't always measure it. If it is not 4 times better, people will not move. People will continue what they're doing in their life today. So find out, like, how are you literally 4 times better?
So I think that has been a really good, fruitful discussion. We understand about product management in great detail, about to do's and to not do's. If someone is looking to step into this field, and what all are they looking to, what touch points are they looking to get by. So guys, it's been really nice to understand what product management is, how does it work, what are the pros, what are the details, actually not really pros, what are the details, and coming directly from someone who manages such or has managed multiple such large products. So if you have any questions, please feel free to write down in the comments, and we'll make it a point to run it by sir and ask for his time again, borrow from him a little more, and understand this in great detail. Any closing remarks, sir, that you would want to give to people who are in that stage where they have just entered the field of product management or are looking to enter it?
I think I'll say from me, like, if I look at 10, 11 years back, when I started exploring product management, I will just tell the same thing to anybody who's young, is I have really enjoyed these last decade or so in this world. Like, I got exposed to so many different verticals of business, software, design, consumer understanding, finance, legal, and it is truly enjoyed. Product management is a stream where generally you are the first person in the organization to try something, because if an organization wants to do something, it's the product manager who has to figure out whether we should do something, should we not do it, if we do it, how should we do it. So that's just exposure to new domains, technologies is I've really enjoyed, and I am glad I took this path. And I would suggest to anybody who wants to take this path, is it's a fascinating place. It has its own challenges because it is so spread out and vast. But if you are able to kind of master the skills, you'll have a very fruitful decades of career in this field.
Wow. So there you go, coming directly from sir. So thank you so much. It's been an honor to host you, to talk to you, to understand product management from you, and it's been a crash course for me last 1.5 hours. Thank you everyone. It's been totally amazing to have this discussion. Remember, the focus is again on doing things, on executing things. Reading, learning is a part of it, but ultimately what you practice, what you do, that is what adds majority of the value. Before we conclude, sir is writing a book with us at Zebra Learn. So if you want to introduce the book to everyone.
No, I'm talking about if you are trying to build a career in product management, or you are in the early stage, or you're just from campus just out. I think I always felt that there are these courses across the internet, little talks about some of the stuff. Some of the stuff like stakeholder management is completely missing, and I've tried to kind of put all those things together, whether it's design, whether it is technology sense, whether it is software building, whether it is stakeholder management, and create a book on this to help you navigate your first 3 to 4 years of product management career, so that you don't have to do the way I did it, which is like learning the hard way and make all the mistakes, and you guys can learn from some of my mistakes already and get much faster into what I called as running speed in your career. So yeah, and looking forward to collaborate with Zebra Learn team and bringing it to you as quickly as possible.
Extremely excited as well. So by the time the podcast comes into the market, or by the time you're listening to this, the book will be in the market, or the book will come down in a few months, depending on the time that you're looking at this. From the date of shoot, it's still a few months away. So it's been absolutely amazing, sir, to have you, to talk to you. And guys, keep practicing, keep executing, and we'll meet again in the next episode of the Execution Show with yet another topic where we deep dive into it and learn and decode it in great detail. Till then, do share this with someone who you think this is relevant, and do comment about any and every question that you have. We would love to hear from you, and we would love to understand more from you and get back to you and talk to you more. So thank you everyone. Thank you, sir. It's been
Thank you, Anurag.
absolutely amazing. Thank you.